Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Sharief, Ishaq coming up in 30 minutes. Hope you'll join me tonight at Court to Table. Out last week for vacation, back in action this week, 8 o'clock for sports trivia. We'll be hanging out there. You can win gift cards, great drinks there, awesome food at Court to Table, tons of TVs, very kid-friendly to come on by. So it's a great time to be there. 8 o'clock, have you out of there by about 9:15, 9:20 on most Tuesdays. So if you're looking for something to do this evening, would love to see you at Court to Table on Burbank for sports trivia. SC Media Day is coming up next week. Well, we go next Sunday, so I guess it's technically kind of like 3 weeks, but it's 2 weeks away. And I realize fully that this is a bigger deal to the folks of us that go than it is to you all who are consuming content. I think there's a large faction of you that are yearning for football at this point. My entire Twitter timeline was full of folks saying, it's football season, it's football season, it's football season, which makes me want to do really mean things when people say that after the baseball team loses. But when the soccer team loses, I don't really care. So I chuckled a little bit at that last night. But, yeah, I think a lot of people want football content. And so we're going to provide a ton of it when we're there in Tampa. Off the Bench will be there. I'll be there. AFR will be there. I'll be writing for LouisianaSports.net. Marlo will be writing for LouisianaSports.net. So we'll have a ton of content on the website, a ton of content over the course of our 4 days there. Oftentimes, we bounce on Thursday midday because it's kind of empty. This time around, LSU's day is Thursday. So it changes our schedule a little bit. So we'll get every single team in the SEC over the course of those first 3 days, and then including LSU's day on the fourth day. And I know that is not as big a deal for y'all this far out as it is for us, but you're also going to get to consume some content from some LSU players that you're trying to get to know leading up to this season. And I'm just curious how Lane Kiffin is going to handle his guests at Media Day. We got a sense of some guys like Brett Bielema when he was at Arkansas. You did not go to SC Media Days unless you were a senior, period. And when Les Miles was here, he rarely sent guys twice. Oftentimes, coaches want to send guys who they can trust not to say anything silly. Trying to stay away from the bulletin board material, right? But I don't really know how Lane Kiffin handles Media Day and how much he cares about who goes and how much he leans on sports information and Tommy Karam as to who they trust to go out there and talk. So I don't have a great feel for who LSU is going to bring this year. I understand that Whit Weeks went last year, and I think that probably is a strike against him, but maybe not. Maybe they want to send their defensive captain for a second year in a row. I feel like if you send Whit Weeks, you're going to get a lot of questions about Whit Weeks and Landry Kiffin dating and Lane Kiffin being the head coach. And that's a story that we talked about briefly last year in the Ole Miss game, talked about briefly last year when Lane Kiffin became the coach and Whit was out there for the spring. And it's run its course in Baton Rouge. If you want to kick that up again for all the national guys to talk about, you can send him, but he's probably going to get a lot of that. And what that's like playing for a dad of his girlfriend, the whole deal. Like, do you care that that's going to be a narrative if you go? I don't know. But I gave a guess as to the three guys that I think that LSU will take. I'll give you some of my honorable mentions, but these are my guesses, and they're just that. These are guesses as to who LSU is going to take. I start with Sam Levitt. He's the quarterback, probably the face of the team. Now, he has not spoken to the local media since he arrived in Baton Rouge. He was not available after practices. He didn't really practice. He hasn't taken a snap at LSU. He's a transfer. Like, LSU sent its quarterback last year in Garrett Nussmeier, but he was a fifth year who, was the face of the program at that point and had come back, and he was an obvious choice. In this case, like, Levitt has dealt with the media. He was in the college football playoff. He was in the Big 12 championship. He has absolutely dealt with big media. And he was a redshirt freshman at that point. And as far as I know, like there's no significant storyline that the media would try to pick at there. Obviously, he's a highly paid transfer quarterback. If you don't want a player to be taking questions about money, you really limit who you can send from LSU because they paid a lot of transfers to show up. But I think that Sam Leavitt's got a good chance to go because I think he's the face of the team. And so I think that he was my pick to go. My second pick is Ty Benefield on the defensive side. Benefield's a good quote. He is, in many of the coaches' opinions, going to be a standout player on this team. He's going to be, in many people's opinion, a award candidate. And if you want to get some media members on your side to try to win the Thorpe Award or win, one of those awards down the line, then getting him out there in front of the media for 7 hours in Tampa might be a good idea. And I think there's a real chance he's the best player on LSU's defense. And so I picked Ty Benefield as my second choice. And the last one is one I think has a decent chance to go. And he's not a guy that you're thinking about, I would imagine. If you're going through names in your head right now, you're probably not thinking about this guy. It's Beau Bordelon. Beau Bordelon has a great story. His dad played at LSU. He committed to Ed Ogeron. He has played for Brian Kelly. Now he's stuck around for Lane Kiffin. He's on his 5th year and has started one game. He started one game in 5 years. It was the Baylor game when everybody opted out. Will Campbell opted out. Emory Jones opted out. Garrett Dellinger opted out. And so Bordelon started that game. That's been his only start. And in this day and age of college football, how many guys are at their 5th year and have started one game? Not very many. And LSU brought in people to take his spot. Devin Harper, the first practice we went out to in the spring, was the starting left guard. 4 days in, Beau Bordelon was starting left guard, and he was starting left guard the rest of camp. Or not camp, spring football. Same deal. I think that's a great story. That's a guy who can and he's also very polished speaking, which you would imagine for a 5th-year player. So my 3 picks are Sam Leavitt, Ty Benefield, and Beau Bordelon. Now, Whit Weeks is obviously a guy that you could certainly bring. We talked to Glenn West in hour number 1. Trey'Dez Green is a likely first-round pick, a likely All-American, and has a great demeanor with the media. He's not a long quote. You're not going to confuse Trey'Dez Green for Paul Maneri on the mic where he goes and goes and goes and goes. But he's a funny quote. And so I think that that's a possibility. He's endearing. He's got a big smile. And so I could absolutely see Trey'Dez Green going. DJ Pickett is going to be a big-time player on this team. I have not seen him do a lot of media, so I would kind of bet against that one. Braylon Moore is certainly a possibility. He's an old player. He decided to come back, could have gone to the NFL. He's a returner on an offensive line that wasn't great. He's in this new Lane Kiffin offense and in charge of kind of the tempo of things up front. And he's a pretty good quote. So I wouldn't be stunned to see that. Jordan Seaton is a great quote. He's a very high-profile player. But when I put Sam Leavitt and Ty Benefield, I couldn't put Seaton because I just can't see a situation where LSU sends 3 transfers to media days. That, to me, seems unlikely. So I wanted to put a returner in there. And Trey'Dez Green makes a ton of sense, but I put Beau Bordelon. I think Beau Bordelon's got a chance to go. Beau Bordelon reminds me a little bit of T-Bob. It's no surprise at all that T-Bob got into media after watching him at SEC Media Days, where he's just a very polished speaker. And at times you can misconstrue the sophomoric nature of his jokes, but T-Bob's got a great vocabulary and a level head on his shoulders and has become a great media member. And Beau Bordelon is kind of the same way, where T-Bob was never going to be a star on those teams, and he wasn't even a starter at times. But they sent him. Now, part of it had to do with Tyron getting in trouble, but they sent him, and it's 3 coaching staffs ago. But that's my pick. I don't think y'all are just oozing in anticipation to learn who these are, but I am to an extent because I'm going to talk to them, and that's where our content's going to come from, LouisianaSports.net and on the air and what recorded interviews we get. You'll hear your first real taste of the 2026 LSU football team that I know y'all are just chomping at the bit to get to know and to watch is going to be these 3 guys in Lane Kiffin at Media Days. And Kiffin will be a circus, and he'll be the draw. But these are the 3 guys that I picked, Leavitt, Benefield, and Bordelon. I'm curious to see. I got 2 or 3 last year, and we'll see how I do this year with those three. Trade-as is the one that I feel like I may have missed the boat on, but I like my picks. We'll see where it all shakes out. All right, our Tuesday show is brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Let's talk some LSU baseball when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about my good friends at Lifetime Roofing. They're online at lifetimeroofingla.com. That's lifetimeroofingla.com. You want to be able to trust your roofer. It's important because there are roofing companies that will come in and take advantage of unknowing customers who will sell them their most expensive item, which is a new roof, when at times you just need a repair. Trust the folks at Lifetime Roofing to go up and assess your roof. If it rains and you feel like you've got damage, Lifetime Roofing. If you've got a nasty storm like Sunday, Lifetime Roofing. There's hail and certainly storm season, Lifetime Roofing. You can trust them. They're Baton Rouge based. They grew up in Baton Rouge. The ownership group did. They want to serve the community of South Louisiana. They understand that oftentimes when roofers are brought in bulk, that there's a significant occurrence in a lot of people's lives. And they want to be a help in that way to the community that's raised them. That's Lifetime Roofing. Check them out online at lifetimeroofingla.com. That's lifetimeroofingla.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Sharief, Ishaq in 15 minutes talking Saints. Obviously, the heat is here, will be for a couple of months. And our friends over at Ochsner just want to remind you about some heat and hydration safety tips. You want to recognize that dehydration first. Here's a quick checklist for you. Dry or sticky mouth. If you're feeling a little bit lightheaded, if you're not using the bathroom as much, your heart rate is elevated, maybe there are some mental changes, that can be a major red flag. If you are dehydrated and need medical attention, find your nearest Ochsner urgent care at ochsner.org/UC. That's ochsner.org/UC. Hydration is so important year-round, but it's important right now. It's essential for overall health and performance, so make sure you're staying hydrated day to day. If you're out longer than an hour, add electrolytes and aim for 2-to-1 water to sports drink ratio. Just some helpful tips to try to avoid some dangerous circumstances out there as this heat lingers all summer long in South Louisiana. Again, that website is ochsner.org/UC. All right, so I'll tell you all a story that I heard the last weekend of the regular season in baseball. And it was when LSU was playing Florida. They had senior day. Someone came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm hearing, like, from real people that Derek Curiel, Jake Brown, and Stephen Milam are coming back." And I go, okay. I chuckled. It's like, all right, that sounds great. But Derek Curiel is draft-eligible sophomore, has hit .360 for 2 years, has played great center field defense all year, and is, by every mock I'm seeing, a top 20 pick. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. Jake Brown has played 3 years. He was on pace for 20-plus home runs, is at least a right fielder, maybe a center fielder, blossomed into a very much an all-SEC player before he got hurt. That's when guys go. And Milam kind of is what he is, right? He's never going to be 6'2". He's shown he can play shortstop defensively. He swung the bat great at the end of the season when the scouts are watching the most closely. Like, I just don't really buy this. I dug a little deeper, and it turned like there was some smoke around that. And then Derek Curiel comes in here and tells Matt that he hadn't really made up his mind. The one thing that he said in that interview on AFR was that, I really want to come back and win a national championship. And that, sounded great. But the one piece that he said is, it sucks that I missed the deadline by like a couple of weeks. And that, to me, meant I wouldn't even have a decision to make if I was younger by 2 weeks, by 3 weeks. I'd have to come back. But it sucks that I do have the chance to go and I'm probably going to have to go, is kind of how I read that. And so I just didn't put a lot of stock into what I was being told because it just didn't make all the sense in the world. I told y'all on the air, I was like, I'm going to leave the door open here. And that was because of what I had heard. And then Stephen Milam comes out and goes, yeah, I'm coming back. And now I'm looking at this going, okay, well, I heard this. And clearly LSU was aware of this. Is this possible? And so after Milam did that, I came back on here and I go, well, I'll tell y'all, I heard some rumblings about this. I'm not going to rule Brown and Curiel out because that is foolish. Now we're getting closer to draft time. And here is my opinion on this. I don't have anything close to what I heard then on senior day now. That was an emotional thing, and Jake Brown takes a curtain call that day, and Curiel, you figured, yeah, he's definitely gone. And I'm kind of processing everything because I know at that point we're in May and we got till July to get to this. So as I sit here today and I look at what LSU did in the transfer portal, the moment I saw the news come across that Angel Aya was coming to LSU, that's when I went, okay, they know that Jake Brown's not coming back. Because I don't see a circumstance, a reasonable one, where LSU has assembled a team and allocated money to a roster that includes Omar Cerna at catcher, Mason Braun at first, Cade Curlin at second, Stephen Milam at short, Dawson Park at third, in left field, Bino Waters, in center field, Jason Wax, in right field, Angel Aya, and at DH, Cade Arambidi. That's 9, and I did not mention Jake Brown, and I did not mention William Patrick, and I did not mention a single freshman. I just don't think one of those, call it 9, make it 10 with an addition. I don't think one of those 10 is not going to play every day. Of that 10, the 2 catchers, Cerna and Arambidi, the infield, Braun, Curlin, Milam, Park, the outfield, Waters, Wax, Laya, Brown. That's 10 guys. I don't see a circumstance where one of those guys showed up and isn't going to play every day. That's hard for me to discern. That doesn't count Jack Rucker. It doesn't count William Patrick. It doesn't count the freshman. Those guys may not have starting roles. But it's just hard for me to see that. So without reporting to you anything, just reading the tea leaves, Jake Brown is not coming back. And you might go, well, Hunt, duh, he's going to be a second-round pick. He's played 3 years. And I'm just telling you, this is rooted in what I heard that last weekend. I'm telling you this because I heard the last weekend that he was going to come back. And I do know that Jake Brown loves playing for LSU and hates the way that this season ended, where he was hurt and he couldn't help his team and they didn't make a regional. But I do think the blow is cushioned for those guys. And Curiel, let me get to Curiel, and then I'll say the blow is cushioned. The thing with Curiel, he's now being mocked in the top 10. You're talking $5-6 million. And I don't think he's going to come back and play a season at LSU and then not get $5 or $6 million the next year, even though he's a year older. But he's going to get $5 or $6 million. He's just not going to pass that up. It's not going to happen. And so I think those guys' decision becomes easier with a College World Series in their back pocket. I think when you have climbed the mountain, you want to do it the next year. You want to do it the rest of your time at LSU. But when you've got one in your back pocket, it becomes easier. Jared Jones is kind of the exception to that because he incorrectly felt like he didn't contribute that much on the first team. He said that publicly in press conferences. He was like, yeah, I was on that team, but I wanted to come back and like carve out an Omaha legacy of myself. And so maybe from that perspective, but Curiel, Milam, and Brown were right in the middle of the Omaha run. I know Brown didn't start every game in Omaha. Pearson started some, but like he was right in the middle of it, had a huge hit in the game against Arkansas. Like he's got his title. And so it makes it easier for those guys. And I want to say, like, I know that most of y'all are thinking to yourselves, like, Hunt, this is an obvious segment to do. We know Jake Brown and Derek Curl aren't coming back. I'm just telling you I had information that suggested that was perhaps not true. And then when Stephen Milam, who was part of that, announced that he was ready to come back, I was like, okay, wait a second. I need to take this a little bit more seriously. Now, with the addition of Laya, I just look at it and go, they've got their 9 guys. They've got their 9 guys they're going to go with. And if a freshman comes in and wins a spot, great. And if Jack Rucker comes in and wins a spot, great. And if William Patrick comes in and wins a spot, great. But I don't think that the 10 core dudes, if you count Jake Brown, somebody would have to sit every day. And that's just not better put, somebody was not going to play every day. And that's just a hard thing for me to fathom with that group of talented players with big-time draft potential. Because Cerna's got big-time draft potential. Aaron Beatty's got big-time draft potential. Milam has got draft potential. Parks got big draft potential. Waters, Wax, obviously Jake Brown, obviously Laya. They've got big draft potential. And I just don't see guys maybe of 56 games having to sit for 20 of them. Just doesn't seem like a likely thing, right? So Derek Curiel and Jake Brown will leave as legacy players with phenomenal careers and a national championship ring to their name. I was told that there was a chance those guys would come back, and I kind of held that close to the vest. That's just not a realistic expectation at this point. As the draft cranks up at the end of this week, nothing's ever sure until it's sure. But I anticipate that those 2 guys will be moving on, and the 9 guys that I gave you will be your starting 9 on opening day, unless some freshman comes in and just lights it flat up, which would be great if that happens. We'll see. But that's just a thought on baseball. We'll get into the signees later on in this week. I think probably tomorrow I'll get in that. It might be a Thursday segment, but probably tomorrow. And looking forward to that. It's going to be a very interesting weekend for LSU, as they've got a huge high school signing class that does have a lot of draft tricks. So even if you do get hit hard at the top of your class, if you can keep the middle intact and certainly the bottom, you'll have a good core of 8, 9 guys, 10 guys that come in this class, and that's impactful, no doubt. Not a big class, freshman class last year. All right, chugging along here. Our Tuesday show is brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. We'll take a timeout, come back and talk Saints with Sharief Ishaq next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. That's FabryChevrolet.com. I tell y'all every day how much I love the website. It's just so navigable. It's so easy to use, so easy to search by whatever your criteria is. I'm checking out the website right now. Go into the specials tab, and you can click that. They've got new vehicle specials. They've got used vehicle specials. They've got their Chevy special offers. They've got their GM rewards, and you can click and see the great offers that they have. If you're looking right now for a 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500, they've got 0% for 60 months for well-qualified buyers. 60 months at 0%. If you're looking for a Chevy Trax, a smaller SUV, 2.9 APR financing for 36 months for well-qualified buyers. And you can see all these great deals. There's 15 of them right here on this page. If you're looking for great deals, check that out at FabryChevrolet.com. You can go see them, Highway 61 in St. Francisville, or start your buying experience right there at FabryChevrolet.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Your work week's off to a good start. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Tuesday. Brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Time to talk a little Saints with Sharief Ishaq. Sharief, this is the slowest portion of the NFL calendar because you got the playoffs that run into the Super Bowl, that run into the Combine, that run into obviously the draft, and then mini camps and OTAs, and then they get about a month where they kind of relax. So I want to talk about the rookies. You willing to do that with me?
Why not? I'm on vacation. So let's talk about some rookies. Whatever you want to talk about, let's do it.
You didn't tell me you were on vacation.
I wasn't going to tell you. I do your show on Tuesday all the time. It doesn't bother me.
All right, well, let's talk about Jordan Tyson. What do you need to see from him? Does he need to be the Saints' number 1? Does he just need to be part of the offense? Does he need to just be a deep threat? Like, what do they need from him?
A little bit of everything. I don't think he necessarily needs to be the number 1 because they have Chris Olave, who I believe is going to get paid. But it's nice to have him in that mix as that 1B, 2A receiver. Give me a guy who can run the route tree and give me a guy who can give me some speed and get down the field because they can do that. He did that at Arizona State. And it's good to have 2 guys who are deep threats when you have the way Chris Olave played last season and the way Tyson can play whenever he's 100% healthy. So I just want a guy who can be a good possession receiver, who can get me down the field on 9 routes, and who can actually run some good routes, just the middle of the field. I want some contested catches. And yes, Devon Vele is that guy, but I need my top 10 pick receiver to do exactly that. I'm just thinking that might be what they have.
So what if he doesn't? What if they need Olave and Vele and Polk and Mason Tipton / the tight ends to carry the load, and Tyson just doesn't catch on quickly? Like, how big a blow would that be?
That would be terrible.
Okay.
It would not be it would be terrible. It'd be awful if that's what you're relying on. But I expect that he is ready to go when training camp starts. He's out there in San Diego with Tyler Shuck and the rest of the receivers and pass catchers working and working on and getting chemistry and building what they need to build out there. So I expect that won't be the case whenever the season starts and they get things really going.
You got Brian Brzee in the middle of that defensive line, and obviously you've got Devon Godshaw as well. Christian Miller comes in from Georgia. What do you need from him?
I need him to be on the field too.
Okay.
I'd love to see him on the field. Being a second round pick for the Saints, I mean, you've got to be a good player. You have to show out there, and I think that tandem of Brian and Christian can be a solid tandem for that defensive front. They need it. They need to be good in the run stopping. They have to clog the holes. They can clog. If you can get those two guys to clog the defense and be a middle of the pack run defense, maybe a top 15, top 12 run defense, that would be solid. But I think that's going to take some time because he's missed some time because of ramping up, just like Jordan Tyson, because he's been dealing with past injuries. Right. So they've work him in slowly. So that's somebody you're hoping by the time July 29th gets around, he's fully healthy and ready to go, which I'd expect that at least a weekend he's ready to go.
So that's where the conversation probably shifts, because first and second round picks are expected to get on the field pretty quickly. You get to the third round, and that can be iffy. You can have a star, or you can have a guy that gets cut. Oscar Delp is a tight end. You've got one of those in Juwan Johnson, who's 29 years old. You've gone out and acquired another one in Noah Fant. What do you need from Oscar Delp this year?
I'd love to see him. I was talking to somebody last night about Oscar Delp. I was like, man, what if he turns out to be a quarter of what Brock Bowers is, because he wasn't really necessarily used to his full potential at Georgia. Because maybe Mike Bobo didn't use him that well. What if Kellen Moore untaps more out of him in this offense, which I think is very possible. I mean, I'm not saying he can beat Brock Bowers, but I'm thinking that there's some untapped potential when it comes to Oscar Delp. I feel like he can put his hand in the dirt, he can block, and he can run routes. So I just feel like there's some meat left on that bone from Georgia that wasn't necessarily used fully. And I think that's why they probably like, oh my God, Oscar Delp is sitting there. Let's take him in the third round and get Tyler another weapon, a much weapon that, people aren't seeing, that what we're seeing. What he had in Philadelphia with the tight ends is probably thinking, look, this game is evolving to these athletic tight ends. I see that in Oscar Delp.
Do you think Juwan Johnson's the best tight end on the team currently? Or you think that's Noah Fant, or do you think that Delp's upside maybe pushes him toward the front?
I think it's Juwan Johnson. They all do a little bit of different things, but here's the great thing. They're all athletic guys. They all can do something different. Oscar can block and run some routes. Juwan Johnson, can block a little bit, but he's mostly like a pass catcher. That big pass catcher you need inside that red zone, inside the 10-yard line, and get in the end zone for you. And Noah Fant could do a little bit more, but I think he's more of that veteran that they need, that veteran presence they can use in that tight end room. Pass catcher, big body. So that's what you with the whole thing with Juwan, the pass catching. Oscar Delp, that's what intrigues me about him, because I think he can do a little bit of all of it. So they've got a good mix of guys there, and I think that's what Kellen is probably looking for. To get a lot of these different versatile tight ends in that tight end room, and have a choice for Tyler Shuck to work with those guys.
I had the Saints draft alerts on my phone, and so when this one popped up on my screen, I don't remember where I was, but I remember going, oh, that's interesting. Jeremiah Wright, guard from Auburn, started on the defensive side at Auburn, transitioned over to the offensive side, very athletic, very big, and oh, by the way, the Saints right guard is not very good. So is Jeremiah Wright a threat to break into this lineup as a rookie, or is that just a depth piece that you hope as a fourth rounder becomes a serviceable player for your team?
You want that. You want that to be a depth, but you also want it to push Cesar Ruiz. You want somebody to push him, and whether if it's him or Dylan, somebody pushes him.
Yeah.
So, get in line for him. He's getting paid a lot of money, Hunt. I mean, Caesar's getting paid a good amount of money. So you hope that at least, this pushes him. But at the end of the day, in the long run, you want Jeremiah to be, somebody who's serviceable. You need some depth at that position. I mean, those offensive linemen for years continue to go down.
Yep.
Tyler Shuck was playing all kind of different offensive linemen, all kind of offensive weapons. So you just hope that those guys can stay healthy, and Jeremiah Wright, turns into something that's a nice depth piece for them, and you can run him out there in certain formations or just in general whenever you need him.
And the other fourth rounder, Bryce Lance, over under for touchdown catches for Bryce Lance this year as a rookie, 2.5.
I'll take the over. Just because I like his numbers I know it's FCS, but man, what he did over there in North Dakota State, and he put up some serious numbers. He had the school record in touchdowns one year. I mean, I like him. He's got the size. He's got the speed. Man, I like him. He might be, to me, of all the rookies, I mean, it's either him or Oscar, but one of those two guys are the sleeper picks of that draft for the Saints. Man, I really like Bryce Lance a lot. His tape was just amazing. And so many levels, just to watch what he did at the FCS level, at his size and his speed, man. I just think that, people are sleeping on him. I think they're really sleeping on him. I think he's going to be a guy who can do some damage in that offense this season.
If one of the last three picks, Lorenzo Styles from Ohio State, Barryon Brown from LSU, and then TJ Hall, the corner from Iowa, one of those last three picks makes the 53-man roster come opening weekend, who would you pick of those three?
Barryon Brown, because he can return. I need somebody who can return. That return game has been miserable for quite some time. I mean, not when Shaheed was doing it was nice, but it was inconsistent. I mean, they didn't really use him much. I need somebody who can get me some of those hidden yardage back. I need Barryon Brown with his speed, plus you can use him in certain formations as a receiver. I need him. I need that guy. I need that type of playmaker for the offense, and I need him on returns. So I would say Barryon Brown.
And look, 7th-round picks don't turn into Marcus Colston very often, but TJ Hall from Iowa was on a really good defense at Iowa, and you've got depth issues at corner. Now, you've tried to address them a little bit, but wouldn't it be nice if your 7th-round pick showed up and you're like, oh, we may have found something here?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good. I mean, you drafted these guys for a reason. You want them to push some of your other players that you signed, but you have Martin Emerson as well there, so You're hoping that his injury, which he said, I remember whenever he got signed, that he'd be ready for training camp. So you hope that he turns into something and he can be another piece on the outside for them. But yeah, you'd love to have TJ Hall as well. I mean, it would be a big time hit if they, in a good way, it'd be a hit for them to have a TJ Hall make that squad. And even if it's just special teams, to be a backup there for the cornerbacks, but to have him play special teams and even be a backup corner would be impressive. I mean, if they hit on this draft like they did last year, you're going to be saying, all right, these guys know what they're doing. They know how to evaluate the talent, and they're keeping most of their draft picks. They're either on practice squad or they're elevated and they're playing and they're making a contribution. It'd be nice, it'd be nice to keep all of them in the practice squad / the 53-man roster. They can use all. Look, you saw how last year they can use depth at a lot of positions.
No question about that. What? Give me something fun you're going to do on vacation.
Nah, man, not this year. I think I'm going to just chill. I've been watching a lot of World Cup, honestly. Just going to try a lot of new restaurants in the city, some that I haven't been to yet, some that I've heard of that have been around for a while, I haven't had a chance to go to. But that's about it. Watch some World Cup, watch a little baseball, try some restaurants, rooftop pools, whatever.
That sounds like we're getting old. So that's what it sounds like.
I'm 44, man. I'm 44. Yeah, I'm old. We're not getting old. I am old.
Well, thanks for picking up the phone on your vacation. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah, man. Anytime. That. See you next Tuesday.
That's Sharief Ishaq, WDSU down in New Orleans. And look, I'm talking to my guy, and I feel like he's on vacation. He tells me he's in the city, which I respect because that's a really fun city. But I thought we was going to be doing something outlandish out there.
Yeah, that was a little weird for him to be like, I'm on vacation, but I'm still in the city. I was like, well, okay.
Hey, it's of all the cities to be in, when you're on
New Orleans,
vacation.
yeah.
That's not the
You should
worst
have
one.
said staycation, though.
That's right. That's all good. My guy Sharief, appreciate him for picking up the phone and kind of chopping through that Saints draft class. It's always fun to think positively about what the drafted player's impact could be. And like everyone's just going to hope that Tyson's a Pro Bowl wide receiver and Christian Miller is a stud in the middle of your defensive front, and that's what you hope for your first 2 picks. But really, where rosters are rounded out and fortified into contenders is when you can consistently make third-round picks valuable assets, consistently find a fifth-round pick that can give you productive snaps. And if the Saints can hit on Delp or Bryce Lance or Jeremiah Wright, and those guys can become starting players, impact players on the high-end Pro Bowl type players, like that's where you really do. Because everybody's first-round pick should be pretty good. Now, they're not all good. Can't hit on the top 10 picks. You're going to have a few flameouts. But you feel like you should be able to hit on those top 2 picks. Everyone knows the Saints have failed on that over the years. But if you can hit those mid-round picks, man, it just makes such a big difference on your roster, on your football team. And they look to have done that last year. Let's hope they've done it again this year in New Orleans. But again, a slow time of year for the Saints. I appreciate Sharief for making some time for us. And we had some fun earlier today talking about the Saints and their the age on that roster, which I think is an asset for this organization for the first time in quite some time. Because 2 years ago, you were at the bottom of the NFL, and now you're in a spot that looks pretty healthy in terms of age and then where the salary cap's going to be. So hopefully good things for the Saints. A lot of optimism this time of year. That's for certain. Saints still about 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away from training camp opening up. So it'll get here before you know it. That's for sure. Tuesday show is brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. We'll step aside and close out the show next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. This sounds crazy, I know, but David told me this, and I went, that actually does make some sense. If for Thanksgiving or Christmas, you've got a big crew coming in, and you've got a bathroom that needs to be used that right now you know is either really ugly or just doesn't function, but you don't use it day to day, so you don't take the time to fix it or go renovate or remodel it, now's the time to make that call, because things get really crazy when the holidays are upon us. That goes with a lot of things in home repair, because everyone starts to realize, oh, we're 1 month out from 15 people being over here for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we got a bathroom that doesn't work properly. Call David now. Have him come out and look. Have that free consultation. That doesn't cost you anything to say, hey, having people come out, I'd really like to make some changes here, and get started in July or August for those holidays if you're having a big crew come in for the holidays. It's not a wild time to think about that. We're 2 quarters through the year, halfway through the year. It's time to start looking at that. One Bath and Closets can help you with it. A free consultation. You can do financing, 0% up to 18 months if you qualify. Start thinking about that if you got a crew coming in. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. They're online at onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday shows every week brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Do you know how much it would cost if your servers went down or if they were compromised, hacked into, locked up, had a hacker that demanded Bitcoin in return for unlocking your systems? Like, do you know what that would cause in terms of lost production and just paying off the bribe? Well, you don't want that to happen. It's expensive. I dealt with it in the insurance world. When you have an IT management company like Immense partnered with you, they're proactively looking out for all of that all the time. They can see where your system may be vulnerable. They can see what's happening on the back end of your servers to make sure that you're protected. And that can be really, really important, because one thing about cyber attacks is you may not know when it happens. And then you're taking information from vendors. You've got credit card numbers in there. You've got employees' information in there. And you don't know that it's hacked. And you just keep feeding the system. And they get access to it. It's silent at times. Stay away from that. Immense Networks Cloud IT Management will come in and protect you from that. It can be a scary thing that we're not really even well aware of. That's what the folks for Mints were telling me about when we had lunch a couple of weeks ago. So if you're looking for some protection in the cyber world, or maybe you don't even know what you need protection from, contact Immense. Go to immense.net. It's immense.net. Immense Network's cloud IT management online at immense.net. All right, Tuesday nights, always a good time. We'll be out at Court to Table, sports trivia, 8 o'clock. We've had a great crowd the last few weeks. Of course, I wasn't in last week, but had a great crowd. Start up at about 8:05, and I'll have you out of there about 9:10, 9:15. It moves quickly. You can win gift cards, win pickleball time. You can watch sports on TV, delicious drinks, great food. And we have a lot of fun. So come on out and see us on Burbank and Court to Table Sports Trivia every single Tuesday. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, I know you already declared your stance on the game of soccer.
Yes.
But the first take it or leave it today. With a heavy presence of football, basketball, and baseball in youth sports around America, will it be impossible for the U.S. to catch up with the rest of the world? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. It's not impossible, but I just don't forecast it happening.
Okay.
I looked this up today for my column, LouisianaSports.net. Do you know how many Belgium-born NBA players there are?
Maybe like one or two.
Two.
Like that.
In the history of the NFL, there are two. In the history of the MLB, there's one. In the history of the NHL, there are two. In the history of those leagues.
Yeah.
They are funneling all of their athletes to one place.
Soccer.
We are funneling all of our athletes everywhere else but soccer. And
Yep.
I just read a column in between the show that was talking about how the USA is so out of its depth thinking that their athletes could compete at the highest level of soccer. And I just think that's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous for you to tell me that we can be good at everything else but soccer.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. We don't have the infrastructure in the youth sports that we need to, obviously, which all those countries do. But don't tell me we're not athletic enough. Yeah. That doesn't hold any water. I watch the NBA. I watch MLB. I watch the NFL. I watch track and field in the Olympics. I watch swimming. I watch tennis. I watch golf. We got guys. We got women. Yeah. Our women kick ass in soccer. Don't tell me we don't have the dudes to compete in soccer and that our athletes would not go and compete at the highest level because we do it at every other sport. So I don't want to hear that. But the way it is right now, it feels really far away. And I watched last night. I don't know anything about soccer, but that game wasn't close.
Yeah. I'm mad that was the game you had to see. Yeah, that was a bad representation.
I saw Bosnia-Herzegovina, whatever. We kicked their butt.
God bless them. So Amir Khan, a.k.a. Aura, the viral student manager from the 2025 NCAA men's basketball tournament, has entered the transfer portal to reunite with head coach Will Wade at LSU. He says, I will be a student manager for one more year. Khan told ESPN today. So Amir Khan turning up LSU one last time. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. If he has fun, if the players have fun, have some fun. I like it. Brought the boombox out, had McNeese going. You can get those energy levels. Now, look, the LSU team is uniquely comprised here of some guys that come from a lot of different backgrounds.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of guys from all over the place.
All over the world.
I don't know what everybody's listening to. And if they're all into the same thing, get it going. But you might have to do a little bit of locker room polling, figure out what we need to put on the boombox.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually a great question. That's actually, you know what? We're going to let Will Wade figure that out. There's a lot of guys from around the world. All right, so Sean Payton had an idea that never came to fruition entering the 2024 season, in which Bill Belichick would have stepped down as the head coach for the New England Patriots. So he was right there to break the Don Shula's record for most wins. So this is what Sean Payton was going to do. When Belichick and the Patriots had a divorce, Payton considered presenting Broncos owner a proposal for the ages. Hire Belichick as the head coach until he reaches 15 wins, enough to break Don Shula's career record of 347. Payton would temporarily step down to be the assistant head coach and run the offense, then move back once Belichick broke the record. So, do you believe in a step head coach in the NFL? Take it or leave it?
I mean, I'll take it. Having Belichick at the top of the food chain seemed to work okay in New England for a while, and Sean Payton running the offense sounds pretty good to me. If you've got a tug-of-war about organizational decisions, those are two massive egos to have in the room.
Huge.
So I don't know exactly how that's going to work, and to win 15 games is going to take 2 seasons. So is Belichick in the draft room for the next year, or are we just letting him coach it? That's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. I don't know if I'm the Broncos that I'm excited to do that because I just don't want to mess with what I believe to be a good thing. And Sean Payton whipped them into shape pretty quickly. So I would probably just leave that right where it was.
All right, so that's it for Take It or Leave It.
All right. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us on a Tuesday. Covered a lot of ground. Started things with the LSU commitment of Jaden Anding, younger brother of Aiden Anding. LSU nabs a 4-star safety. Good news for LSU. Good news for the state of Louisiana there. Saints are getting younger, and I went through it player by player, age by age. You can check that out at Hunt on Saints. Chatted with Glenn West about all 3 LSU sports. We started with baseball, went to basketball, and then covered a little football as well. Gave you my thoughts on soccer. You can read about that at louisianasports.net. Media days. My guess is on the 3 LSU players they'll take. Jake Brown and Derek Curiel. I think they're out of here. And then a little Sharief on Saints as well. Catch it all on demand. Muso's driving you home next. See ya.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. Check them out online, fabt.com. And if you're in Southeast Louisiana, you don't really have to do that because they got you covered. They've been here for 116 years. They've got 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana, so there's always one near you. I tell you all the time, just outside Baton Rouge, Dutchtown, Jones Creek, they're there. Up I-12, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, they're there. Down the Bayou, St. James, St. John, Lafourche, Terrebonne, they're there. And what makes First American Bank and Trust different is the family feel, the community environment. The people that you're dealing with, the people that make the decisions on your commercial loans are from Southeast Louisiana. They're in South Louisiana. You pick up the phone and call your bank. You're not getting some call center in San Francisco. You're getting Southeast Louisiana, First American Bank and Trust. Do business locally. And that doesn't mean you're doing business with someone that's small. They got 25 locations. They can handle your commercial loan, your personal loan. It's First American Bank and Trust. Check them out online at fabt.com.